Hello there, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Botox Games. We have some pretty breaking Nintendo news tonight, but it is not the news that I think anybody was expecting to ever really happen at this point. If you remember back in January, there was a little game that launched on Xbox Game Pass called Palworld, and it was basically Pokemon with guns, and there was a lot of talk of whether or not Nintendo even has grounds to legally pursue something with this company, PocketPair, because a lot of the designs were very, very close to what we see in a mainline Pokemon game. And I'll have this footage up on screen with credit to the original poster. Some of the designs that you see in Palworld are just, it's simply too close to be called a coincidence, right? But a lot of people back then were talking about whether or not they will be able to sue PocketPair for infringing on the designs of Pokemon, basically. Well, we now have confirmation from Nintendo. They put out this corporate press release that they will be filing a lawsuit for infringement of patent rights against PocketPair. Now, before I read this, I just want to say, obviously not a lawyer. I don't fully understand a lot of what's going on here, but I wanted to make this video and just kind of talk about it because so many people just kind of gave up on this. A lot of people thought it was just over, that it was done. They weren't going to pursue it, right? I think there's even rumors of PocketPair releasing Palworld on PS5 as early as like next week, or maybe it's going to be announced at TGS or something. So I think the timing is not a coincidence there. I think Nintendo did want to get ahead of that. But reading through what Nintendo wrote, and I'll have this link down below, Nintendo, together with the Pokemon Company, filed a patent infringement lawsuit in the Tokyo District Court against PocketPair on September 18th, 2024. This lawsuit seeks an injunction against infringement and compensation for damages on the grounds that Palworld, a game developed and released by the defendant, infringes on multiple patent rights. Nintendo will continue to take necessary actions against any infringement of its intellectual property rights, including the Nintendo brand itself, to protect the intellectual properties it has worked hard to establish over the years. So yes, it is real. Nintendo is suing PocketPair, and quite frankly, they've waited 9 months. The way I see it, as you know, outsider looking in, as someone who does not follow lawsuits all that often, they would not be pursuing this if they did not think they can win. Now, it says here they're suing them for patent infringement and not copyright infringement, which seems to suggest that they're not suing them over the designs of the Pals in Palworld, which is very compelling to me because other than that, I don't really know what they would be going after them for. If it's patent infringement, you know, patents generally refer to like game design concepts, not like actual pieces of art, right? It can refer to actual hardware or a physical thing. It's not generally talking about like Vulpix is not patented. It might be copyrighted by Nintendo, but it's not patented. So they're suing them for patent infringement, which I just find very interesting. And hopefully someone who knows more about how this all works will, you know, fill us in the comments down below. And I'm sure there'll be some other articles that come out, but that is why they're suing them. But to my point though, right? They would not be filing this lawsuit if they didn't think they can win. They've spent the past 9 months, I presume, gathering the receipts and making sure they have a very strong case to take down Palworld and take down PocketPair, because if Nintendo didn't think they had a case, they simply would not pursue it. Here's a tweet thread from Andy Robinson over at VGC saying Nintendo and Pokemon Company are officially suing Palworld developer PocketPair. They've announced. An IP lawyer told VGC earlier this year that Nintendo would need a smoking gun for any legal case to be successful. It's down to Nintendo to absolutely prove copying, not merely taking influence. Hansel Henson lawyer David Hansel added, the industry would have come to an end years ago if you weren't allowed to take influence. You can't have a monopoly on a certain style of artwork. It literally has to be copying. Now, my gut reaction is, like I said, they must know something or have some piece of information that tells them that their patents were infringed on, but that's the key thing. It is not about the designs. I'm sure Nintendo is very much not happy about the designs in Palworld. Whether or not they have legal ground to stand on it because of the designs that were very clearly stolen from Pokemon, that remains to be seen. But maybe they figured out, okay, like listen, maybe we can't sue them for the designs, right? Even though we really don't want this game that looks like Pokemon visually and also has guns, we really don't want this on the market. If we can't get them for that, maybe we can get them for something else. So I guess from that angle, it's possible that maybe they're kind of reaching, right? Maybe they found something in the patent that like indicates like, listen, maybe we can get them for this small thing in the in our like game design patents, right? But I really don't know what that is, because people call Palworld a monster catching game, a Pokemon clone. It's not. The Pokemon designs are clearly stolen from Pokemon, but the actual game itself is nothing like Pokemon or any other creature catching game. Palworld is a survival game that has Pokemon elements in it, but the main thing is still survival. It's not turn-based battles, it is a survival game first and foremost, and then there's also just Pokemon kind of thrown in there. And for what it was, it worked very well. People were very, you know, excited about Palworld when it came out, and even though the numbers have died down quite a bit, it still has like 30,000 active users at any given time, I believe, on Steam, so that's still like very good for a small team, right? But you don't see Nintendo going after Temtem, you don't see Nintendo going after Koromon, or Nexomon, or Digimon even, right? Nintendo doesn't care that it's a clone mechanically of these games, because it's not, first of all. But even if it were, they're fine with these monster catching games. So the way I'm looking at it is, they are very unhappy about the designs and the fact that they use guns, because that looks bad on Nintendo's image. If there are any kids or parents who see it and think, oh, Pokemon has guns now, that's bad. That's how I can imagine Nintendo kind of looking at the situation. But they realized they couldn't sue based on that, so they found something else in the patents that would allow them some sort of leeway to kind of squeeze in there and hopefully take Palworld down and take PocketPair down. That's what I imagine is the reasoning for this happening now. I'll be very curious to see what comes of this. It's interesting, right? Like, I don't want to root for the billion-dollar corporation, but at the same time, Palworld is a very unique case where, even though I enjoyed playing it for the time that I did, the game is blatant. Like, I'll put it up on screen here. Some of the designs of the pals in this game, you can say, oh, they didn't take the assets. They didn't steal assets from Nintendo and Pokemon. They didn't steal exact designs from, Pokemon and Nintendo, right? That's true, but you have to have a blindfold on to not understand that they copied a lot of these designs. Even if they took their own spin on Lucario and made it an Egyptian Lucario, they still stole the design and the idea of what Lucario is and put it into this game. The other Pokemon clones on the market don't really do that. Yeah, Nintendo doesn't own the rights to a sheep Pokemon, right? And I think when you see all these comparison videos, they show like Wooloo and whatever the comparison pal is in Palworld, and they show those, and it's like, that's not really fair. Like, there's gonna be a sheep pal, like, that's fine. There's gonna be a little grass monkey, like, that's fine. But when you get to like Lucario, when you get to the Corviknight one, when you get to the one that looks like Aggron, it's like, there are so many pals that were clearly just ripped thematically from Pokemon that you don't see in Temtem. You don't see that in Koromon or Nexomon. You don't see that in any other monster catching game. You don't see it in Dragon Quest Monsters. Palworld is the first monster catching game that I've seen ever do it so blatantly, obviously. Like, they weren't even hiding it. So while I don't want to root for the billion-dollar corporation, and I don't want to see PocketPair get destroyed from this, right? I imagine if Nintendo wins this lawsuit, that's not going to be good for PocketPair, even though I'm sure they've made a lot of money. Well, I don't want to see that. On the other hand, I don't like that they blatantly stole stuff from Nintendo and Pokemon. Like, that's a step too far. With that said, we will have to wait and see what the outcome of this lawsuit is. So far, it is just like the letter of intent, right? They're saying we are going to sue Palworld. The actual lawsuit has not started, so eventually we'll get more information on like exactly what they're suing them for, and that should be very interesting to take a look at. But yeah, that's the big news of the night, which I do want to end the video talking about a little bit. No Switch 2 so far. I know, I'm sure a lot of you watching this video are like, where's the Switch 2, Bo? There's supposed to be a Switch 2 reveal. I'm going to be honest, completely conspiracy brained. I might get like a 30% of the Switch 2 happening this week at this point. However, putting out this news that realistically Nintendo is going to get very attacked for because they're hurting an indie developer, putting out this information and then covering it up with the Switch 2 reveal either later tonight or tomorrow morning, frankly, it seems like something a big company would do. Honestly, if you even look like two weeks ago, Concord shut down the day Astrobot came out. That's not a coincidence. So just like a recent example of a major game company doing something like this, although that's a completely different situation, right? I could see them announcing Switch 2 soon to just kind of cover up this PocketPair filing because they don't want that much attention on it. Like, that doesn't seem like that far-fetched to me. But that is going to do it for today's video. I just wanted to hop on here and kind of talk about this with you all because it is very interesting and it is very pressing news. Like, this is something I don't think many people really expected to come back into the news cycle. But here we are 9 months later after Palworld came out, and they are going to try to take them down. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments down below. Of course, subscribe here for more Nintendo Switch news, reviews, content coverage, all of that fun stuff. Follow me on Twitter at BoTalksGames. Check out my other YouTube channel at It's Amiibo. And until next time, folks, peace.